Notes to self. The rapture. Enraptured. Harpazo. Song of Solomon, chapter 2. Come along. Bride, 14. Bridegroom. Marriage supper. Matthew 24. Fig tree. Repercussions of a butterfly. Repentance. Tears. Emerson, Missler. Quote, of all the words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these, what might have been. Who can separate us from his love? Chapter 2. Building of the captain's wheel. Stay the course. The music of the police in the background. Everything she does is magic. He woke up early and lit the oil lamp. He whispered a prayer. The word mirror is what triggered it. The memory of her beautiful countenance. Quote, that's a wonderful revelation of wordplay. Research word nerd stuff. The Paleo-Hebrew word for countenance is right above the word for vision, mirror. He never forgot the vision of her. Whether in the body or out of the body, similar to a writing in the ancient scrolls, he too just couldn't pinpoint what happened with precise precision. It was also confusing. The lie of a lie he lived before the mirrored vision of her, the long life of the family he had before they simply vanished into literal thin air, atmos, or atmes, vapor. Or was that the dream? Clues, mysteries. He scoured the scriptures for answers. Nothing but more questions. Look ahead. You are not expected to complete the task. Neither are you permitted to put it down. Phrases like this would enter his mind during the very emotional low times. Yes, visions, dreams, confusion, hangovers, midnight sweats, the jerks, the mirror. He had somewhere in his heart hidden the idea that the catching away had happened. This was only a narrative a madman would ponder and actually believe, but it gave him hope, and that flicker of hope is what he needed in his weak state of mind. It all happened just as the prophets said it would, only not as exactly as they all thought. He wasn't so much, quote, left down below, as he was shipwrecked, lost at sea, and tucked away for some strange sort of spiritual rehabilitation. But even that's hard to comprehend. Just get to the next event, he told himself, and stop overthinking it. At some point, he was going to leave, and soon. He'd been saying that for years, but lately a certain wind came under his sail. The fear of facing the beast, and the uncertainty of ever running into her again, versus the stagnation of living on the island with the ever-present sense of impending doom, just gave him a freedom to create with recluse abandon, and create he did. Most of the time, he was simply channeling the sexual hormones that still existed mysteriously, not art. Imagining lustful situations did his soul no good. Those roads had been traveled, and nothing but painful memories lay down those avenues, in those chapters of his life. Like memories of traveling on vacation and passing those little beachside roads that lead to rentals, Oregon, Raleigh, Holly. Each road was a year of his life, and down those roads where lust and fornication were remembered, pain and regret and repentance replaced pleasure, hunting, and cigarette smoke. He'd wake aroused, and climb out of bed and go to work on the most essential part of the Great Escape, the ship's wheel. He was simply engraving the words, "Hold fast, stay the course," into the wood. It was in these moments smoking a cigar, or better yet, weed, was most pleasurable. But nay, he'd gone through it all. Yet another reason to get off and go. Nothing but essentials remained on the island now. All little fun things like that were all well gone. Used up long ago. Stay the course. He would need that because this trip would be the most difficult. He would not be able to return. Stay the course, because temptation always loomed. You'd think he would be insulated from it on the island, but it must have been near some rich person's island, because those that would wind up visiting or running off course always seemed to be hot, rich women, women dating or married to rich old men. Cue the eagles, lying eyes. Rich old men who were usually passed out in the belly of the boat, and the girls needed to know where the next port was. They were always so friendly, and many times so. Well, easy. Stay the course. He would smile his old flirtatious smile, give them directions, and send them on their way. Someone offer him a drink and a dance or a bowl of weed. Temptation's wings. Down. Music in the background came from various sources: cassette tapes, vinyls, CDs left behind from one of the engineers. Stay the core. Almost completely etched into the wheel. He used the old man's chisel set, which were super sharp and worked like butter in the amazingly hard wood. He worked it like a pro, though this was his first time wood carving. He also used some wood burning tools he heated up in the wood stove to burn it all in. He blew off the dust and was super satisfied with his work. It was symbolic. It was spiritual. It was encouraging. Noisy, idiotic cats in the background drove him nuts, incessantly trying to get into the room where he was working, meowing obsessively to get in. When he was calm and in a good mood, it was almost cute. But when he was concentrating and working, it made him want to learn the ancient art of skinning cats. He was often tempted to take a few and throw them into a box and throw them off a cliff. And now, with this wheel near completion and the boat nearly stocked and ready to go, the storm cloud loomed in the background. Dreams of the unnatural electric sky made the loom of the storm even more fearfully indescribable, emotion-wise. He remembered seeing purple, blue, and green, strange fire in the sky, not the normal color of lightning against black clouds in the dream. Terrifying sights in the sky, and this is how he knew the time was at hand. Death, suicide, old age. It really didn't matter anymore. I mean, it did and all, but not in the daily sense. The end was near, the whole giant shift, the end of the eon, the end of the dispensation, and this gave him strength for the journey. The internet was long down, and a return to the old ways came natural and somewhat easy, like fitting into an old leather shoe. Only now, he had reams of notebooks containing his years of research he could revisit, because much of the intelligence was before its time anyways. He could read most of it now as the daily headlines, if he had any idea what day it was. Oh yes, he had an idea of what day it was. He kept records of records. He just chose not to pay all that much attention to it. Stay the course. Done. The cat was eating in quiet, his hormones calm and under control. Out in the distance, the beast would rise high into the sky and crash down. Instantly, like it had video surveillance in his craft room and was tracking the progress of the task at hand. The wheel was completed, and it was heavy. Whatever wood it was made from was both beautiful in grain and heavy. You could tell it was well worn. It was not the one he had come to the island with. That one was destroyed. Memories that originally filled him with despair the day he landed. It wasn't until years, and I mean years later, until one day crying on the floor, sobbing in hungover repentance, halfway through the wine cellar, he looked up into the ceiling of the kitchen, and hanging above him was the ship's captain's wheel. The old man had used it as a decoration, and the old lady used it to hang herbs off of. No way, he thought. No way it would fit. No way it would not be dry rotten or something. He scrambled to his feet, figured out how to get it down, which was a pain. He had to find all kinds of tools scattered everywhere to get it down. It was then he realized how heavy it was. Yo, if this would have fallen on them while cooking in here, it would have crushed them. He looked over at a picture hanging on the wall of the old couple hunting and smiling, and he thought the old man in the picture was smiling at him with that old man wise look of, you have no idea look. He sat back in the boat on the floor and just giggled when he test fitted. I mean, it fit perfectly. No modifications. Even the bolts matched. Well, somewhat. He had to widen the hole slightly, but all in all, perfect. And that was the last piece of the puzzle, the ship's captain wheel. That thing alone filled him with hope. I mean, filled him with hope. You take this giant boat, and it was completely worthless without the wheel. This wheel was a miraculous find. It was discovered when all hope was lost, when the rope became less scary. Hold fast. You're in chrysalis. Stay the course. He had to repeat little expressions like this to remain creative, alert, watching, stimulated. Stimulation. How to find it naturally and use it correctly was one of the challenges here on Lighthouse Island. The old lady had a couple of books on natural healing herbs, but most of that stuff didn't grow here. Wheat grew here though, and barley. You can't smoke that though, I think, he thought. And he had no idea how to make alcohol, the whole fermentation thing. Besides, he was too tired and too focused on prepping the boat now. Barley harvest, food stores, gleanings, remembering the barley harvest, word study, research from the roadmap to the end. Sting. Some of his greatest hits CDs and The Police played in the background, as the engineer must have been a fan and had lots of copies of those tunes. CDs, vinyl, cassette tapes, a real collector. The music was good and very poignant in certain stages of crafting. However, memories of Sting's pucker pooch lips while singing or getting photographed always got on his nerves. Fields of Gold really captured his attention one day looking out at the barley fields as he prepped the wheel for transport back to the boat. The song almost sounded 3D, if that makes any sense. The song played and he thought of her and the letter. He dusted off the wheel and got the bags ready. The rope now was less ominous and more useful. He wouldn't hang himself with it. He would use it to bind the wheel to its case, transport it back to the boat. "You'll remember me," he sang. "You'll remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we walk in fields of gold." So she took her love for to gaze a while upon the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? We'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we lie in fields of gold. See the west wind move like a lover so upon the fields of barley. Feel her body rise when you kiss her mouth among the fields of gold. I've never made promises lightly, and there have been some that I've broken. But I swear in the days still left, we'll walk in fields of gold. We'll walk in fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days among the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down among the fields of gold. You'll remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. Yeah, right. You'll remember me. The ship captain's wheel completed, he hauled it down to the boat. The air grew silent. That feeling of lightning about to strike. That weird feeling in the air. All the hairs of his neck stood on end. Fight or flight. A panic attack seized him like never before. An old professor said one of the rules of combat was to tighten your helmet strap right after a victory, for that was when another more powerful attack would happen. Completion of this task was certainly a victory, a major one, and the day was almost a romantic fairy tale until this moment. An unnatural cry was sounded and the earth seemed to shake. No, it didn't seem to shake. It was a great earthquake. What the f? He took cover and protected the wheel as if it was an infant. There was a shallow cave near the boat landing, and he ran into it, looking up all the while, as for some reason, none of the rocks fell from the ceiling. When things calmed down, with a peace that passes all understanding, he delivered the wheel to the boat, attached it, and sat back and sang, "You can tell the sun in its jealous sky." Yeah, so that was